Hi again everyone, I hope you are all doing really well. I just thought I would do a quick video giving a short overview of the latest Amazon results for the June quarter of 2021. These results are significant as they represent the last set of results with Jeff Bezos as the CEO, as he stepped down from the role on July 5th, and this is reporting up to the 30th of June. Jeff Bezos' new role is still very heavily involved in the company as the executive chairman, a move which I think is aimed to shift Bezos slightly out of the public light and allow him to work on other ventures, as his public position has come increasingly under scrutiny because of his increasing economic and political influence. FYI, the new CEO is Andy Jassy, who led today's earnings call. Amazon's results in many ways disappointed investors and analysts, largely due to lower sales volumes than was hoped for. However, their overall earnings still looked quite good on the back of stronger than expected results from the cloud computing business, which, given the minimal expenses involved, is quite a profitable sector of their company. In fact, the whole web services sector for the company grew its revenues by 87%. So in this video, I just want to run through some of the main highlights of the quarterly earnings, recap some of Amazon's expectations going into the third quarter, and briefly discuss how the news in today's earnings call relates to the clean energy fuels deal, as well as how the Amazon stock is responding to the results. But before I do that, I want to quickly mention something that I wouldn't normally say until the end of the video, but I think it's worth promoting from the start, given that many viewers tend to drop off partway through the videos. That is, I have announced that I am planning on setting my channel up as a social enterprise going forward, with the idea being if and when it does become monetized, I want to move profits towards some causes which I am passionate about, and I'm sure many others are as well. So the idea is that by people watching the videos and following the channel, they're actually helping make a difference at no financial cost to themselves. I think it's a great opportunity to use YouTube for good and make a difference to some worthy causes out there. So I encourage you to subscribe and be a part of all that. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into Amazon's latest earnings. So like I said, while there was a bit of negative reaction to Amazon's overall earnings, there were a number of things where they beat expectations, such as their overall earnings were $15.12 per share, whereas only $12.30 per share had been expected. So that's quite a good win. And obviously the company is still growing. So, they still had a 27.2% growth in revenue overall. Why I think a lot of analysts are jumping up and down, however, is that in recent months, they had on average increased their earnings expectations for this quarter by 10.3%. So they were estimating that more growth was going to come out of Amazon than what actually occurred. And of the 52 analysts covering the stock, only 2 of them had actually negatively revised their earning estimates in the last 30 days. Interestingly, for the next 12 months, there's this expectation at the moment that the stock will rise to $4,200, as that is the average 12-month price target. This may in fact change, I guess. And still, however, there is a very strong buying sentiment for the stock, with no one advising to sell or advising of a strong buy or buy, with one person saying hold. So just breaking down the quarterly earnings, as we pointed out in the start, that they had earnings per share of $15.12 as opposed to the estimated $12.30 that was expected. So that was quite good. And we know that there was strong web services sales for the company. So some of the areas that they fell short on was obviously their online sales. They only managed to come up with $113.1 billion in sales, whereas they were expecting about $2 billion more, which I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but we're talking about billions of dollars, so it is quite a lot in the scheme of things. And they actually had a more expensive period than analysts were expecting. So they had operating expenses of $105 billion, whereas they were only expecting $83 billion. So that was a big blowout, and that's going to eat into their overall revenue. So these are the 2 points where they kind of didn't deliver as well as people were expecting. One plus side which represents good growth is that here at the bottom we have employees at quarter end. We had total employees at the end of the quarter of 1.335 million versus 1.271 million for the last quarter. So they've added about 80,000 employees to the company in the last quarter. This current figure of employees represents a 52% growth in employees in the last 12 months. So just in sheer people power, the company has grown quite significantly. Like many in the tech space, Amazon has struggled to achieve similar growth rates to what was achieved during the lockdown period last year, where these types of businesses saw explosions in their growth. Also, similarly to other tech giants who have released results so far this week, Amazon has made statements which reflect a slower rate of growth is coming in the near future. For the third quarter, Amazon said it expects to have sales between 106 and 112 billion, representing growth of 10 to 16% compared to the same period last year. That's well below consensus estimates of $119.2 billion for the upcoming quarter. CFO Brian Olsavsky said in the call that with investors that Amazon is in the midst of a multi-year investment cycle, which includes spending heavily to increase warehouse capacity across the country. Most of Amazon's 2021 spend and building openings are planned for the second half of the year. Undoubtedly, this will unplug some of the bottlenecks that are currently constraining further growth for Amazon at this stage. Now, connecting this all back to clean energy fuels, ticker symbol CLNE. As I just noted, Amazon is in the midst of a multi-year investment cycle, which includes spending heavily to increase warehouse capacity across the country, and that most of Amazon's 2021 spend and building openings are planned for the second half of the year. As someone who is watching the clean energy fuels stock intently, particularly around what is happening with Amazon, this to me is a flag of when the growth in clean energy fuel sales are primed to pick up, as their fuel network is being expanded to cater for their supply deal with Amazon. This will obviously align with Amazon's warehouse expansion activities, with much of this set to come online in the second half of the year. So while I'm not expecting a huge jump in revenue for CLNE's June quarter results, the likely pipeline of Amazon related revenue will likely align with the opening of future warehouses in the second half of this year. So that's when we should start to see more of the money from the Amazon deal trickling into clean energy fuels. As for clean energy fuels stock price, I would not expect these earnings and updates to affect it in any real manner. As for the Amazon share price, while it closed the regular trading day at just shy of the $3,600 mark, in the aftermarket session when the results became public, there was a sharp decline in the stock price that aligns with the release of this financial information. This has been probably the most negative market reaction seen so far towards any of the big tech companies' earning results this week. When regular trade begins on Friday, it will be interesting to see if there is further downward pressure on the stock. And this also makes me think that the 12-month price target of $4,200 by analysts may soon get revised. Finally, just very quickly looking at the 1-minute candlestick chart for the stock, we can see that after trading flat for most of the day, when the stock went into aftermarket trade, it was heavily in oversold territory and even finished in oversold territory according to the RSI. So down here. Also, the stock price did finish on the lower of the Bollinger Bands. These two indicators would suggest the stock is likely to at least see a rise when the market opens again. However, given that this was aftermarket trade, it is hard to determine if this will indeed occur, given that it is such a quietly traded period. Like I said, logically it would rise at least at the open of trade, but it is really hard to say. One positive sign, however, is that the stock did trade flat once it found its bottom in the aftermarket session, which might be a sign that it did find its bottom point, at least for now. Anyway, that's about all I have for this video. I didn't do my normal technical analysis of Amazon stock because it's not one that I am following or invested in, but I am interested in the stock because of the potential clean energy fuels deal. Anyway, if you enjoyed this and want to see other stock related videos, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Like I said at the start, I am trying to build the channel into a social enterprise so that profits from my videos go towards helping causes that I and I'm sure many others out there are passionate about, and I would love for you to all be a part of that. Until next time everyone, take care, may the markets trade in your favour. Cheers.